Hello, everyone. Like Shamika said, I am Elizabeth Niemeyer, the Director of Advising and Peer Mentorship, which is part of a bigger center, the Center for Student Academic Success, and comprised of the three areas mentioned earlier. My area, Advising and Peer Mentorship, the Tutoring Center, and Student Accessibility Services. So there we go. And so I will start with some of the more obvious things that we do in my area. So academic advising. And so our services are open to the entire campus community, whether students are in a declared major or not. But we do have an emphasis on undecided students and exploratory students, and providing them with guidance and that extra support in determining what their strengths are, what their interests are, and then trying to align those things with an academic program that they can feel really good about. And so we help students navigate through choosing a major or getting creative with a major. So if they already have a declared major, but they want to incorporate other areas of interest, then we can talk about that and maybe look at doing a minor or some other creative way of incorporating interests into the academic plan. And so whatever the student is doing when they come to see us, we want them to do it with intention and with purpose, and really being mindful that we don't want students to be here for 10 years, right? We want students to graduate within the 4-year time period. So as our undecided and exploratory students are taking introductory classes to get a feel for these different areas, we ensure that when they're meeting with us, that we're keeping them on track so that they can do this exploratory piece safely without adding time to their degree. For undecided students in particular, they do have the benefit of having 2 academic advisors. So they will get a faculty advisor who is an expert in their content area, but that individual may or may not have familiarity with the different areas of interest that a student may have. And so that's where the professional advisors in my office come in. The professional advisors are all generalists, so they are familiar with the 40+ programs that we have. And so if you are a student that is equally interested in psychology and in business, then you can meet with an advisor in my office to talk that through, to go over the curriculum of both programs, and then to see and make an educated decision about how you want to move forward. In addition to the academic advising piece, we also meet with students to help keep them on track. And we do that when students come to us, like we will sit down with them and to identify those barriers to success and guide them in how to overcome them. And sometimes that means we will refer to our campus colleagues and campus resources and tutoring or in counseling or in financial aid so that we can connect students with the experts in whatever area that the student needs the most support. Next slide, please. We also have an early alert system. So these are proactive referrals that come to our office and usually generated by staff and more times faculty. So if a student is having any kind of academic challenge in a class, then they are referred to us. And these could be missing work, frequent absences, low grades. An advisor will reach out to the student, they'll come to our office, and then we'll meet and we'll talk about what's happening and then how can we develop a plan that will allow the student to overcome those challenges so that they can have the best semester that they possibly can. In addition to that, we also have academic placement. So that is housed in my area as well. And so all new students have to do placement, and then placement exams are specific to the major. And so on the placement website, I should have put the link here, but I can give it to Shamika if any of you need to find it, or you can do a search on our webpage. If you go to the placement website, you will find the major that you're interested in, and then under that will be listed the specific placement exams that are associated with that major and the directions on how to complete that. All right, next. So last but not least, one of the bigger things that we do in our office is I run the peer mentor program. And so it's one of the larger first year experience programs that we have on campus. And I have 60 peer mentors who are upperclassmen They each are assigned 15 to 20 mentees, and they are assigned to the entire first year class. And that includes transfer students. So anybody that is new that is coming to Roger Williams will be assigned a peer mentor. And peer mentors stay with their mentees for the entire first year. So they don't just help the students, you know, in the first couple of weeks. They remain with their mentees for the entire first year as an informed resource and individual who can help guide them through their first year transition to Roger Williams, but then to university life as well. We all know that campus or that students that are involved are more successful or tend to persist. And so our mentors also will help our new students get involved and encourage their involvement in co-curricular and extracurricular activities. Again, connecting those students to teachers are trained throughout the summer. So they really do serve as an informed resource. And they also provide outreach during strategic times during the semester. So we have two major outreach initiatives during the semester. Registration time, which we are just wrapped up for this semester, and then also midterm warning grades. And so if a student is needing support in registration and navigating our registration portal, then their peer mentor will be there to help them through that. If a student is got midterm warning grades, then our mentors will help connect them with resources and other professional staff so that they can mitigate and end the semester in the best way. And so with that, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to my colleague, I believe Karen Bellotti is next.
Yep, very good. Hi, everyone. So my name is Karen Bellotti, and I am the director of the Tutoring Center, which is located on the second floor of the library. All of our offices are located in the library. Peer mentorship and advising and the Tutoring Center are located on the second floor. So it's a really common, easy space to find right in the center of campus. Within the Tutoring Center, we have three primary centers. That's the Math Center, the Writing Center, and the Science Center. And all of the tutoring that is provided through the Tutoring Center is available at no charge to students. So you won't pay for anything that I'm going to talk about today. It's all provided at no charge. We have both peer and faculty tutoring. And during a typical semester, our hours are Monday through Thursday from 9 a.m. to 8 p.m., Friday from 9 to 3, and Sundays from 2 to 8. Now, this spring was not a typical semester, and I think all of the areas within the Center for Student Academic Success, whether it was SAS or advising and peer mentorship, and including the Tutoring Center, demonstrated great agility in moving online. And so there's a great article on the homepage for Roger Williams at rw.edu. And so if you go to this article, you'll learn a little bit more about how we transitioned to online services, including tutoring. So during a typical semester, again, we have math, writing, and science centers, and we also offer some tutoring for foreign languages. That tends to vary by semester depending on what foreign languages are being offered. Typically, we have tutoring for German, for Chinese, and for Spanish. Peer tutors are available on a walk-in basis, no appointment necessary. Students can just walk in, see a peer tutor. All of our peer tutors are highly trained in the content area, and they're also great at and trained to provide motivation for students. Sometimes if you hit a block, whether it's a math problem or a chemistry problem or a writing paper, the tutors are trained in motivational and learning strategies. We also have faculty tutors, and faculty tutors are instructors in the discipline for their particular center. So all of the writing faculty tutors teach in writing studies, like I do. I run the writing center and I teach in writing studies. The math faculty tutors teach in math. Science faculty tutors teach in science. We strongly recommend that students make appointments for faculty tutors. And that, by the way, is a great means of time management because it kind of holds you to come in at that time for tutoring. We also want to just let students know that they are encouraged to come into the tutoring centers to do homework, knowing that there's a tutor nearby who can help them if they get, stuck on something. We also have some additional offerings through the primary tutoring centers. So these are just some examples of what we have. So in writing, we have something we call the tutor and major chart. So all of the tutors are listed by their name, their major, their year at Roger Williams, and their preferred documentation system. And this is great if you have to write a paper in a particular discipline, like you have to write a paper in legal studies, and it helps to work with a legal studies major. So it's a great resource for students. We also have Grammar with Karen. I'm Karen. That's a weekly grammar series on Wednesday afternoons. And it's Wednesday afternoons typically we don't have classes, so it's a great way to get your sentences in shape. Through the Science Center, very similar to the tutor and major chart, we have a tutor and subject schedule, so that this schedule identifies science tutors by their name, their hours, and then what they are qualified to tutor within biology, chemistry, Core 101, and additional science courses like marine biology courses or genetics. So there are a lot of science courses for which there are tutoring. And we also have physics nights. So for physics nights, tutors are available in the physics lab to help students with lab work specifically. We also have a program called Chemex. We work really closely with the chemistry faculty on Chemex, and the tutors host chemistry study sessions with practice problems. And some faculty will also offer points toward the final grade for attendance in those Chemex sessions, which is a great boost. And then finally, in the Math Center, we have the Tutor in the Classroom program. So designated sections of math courses have tutors who are assigned to attend class. The tutors are then available as informed resources in the Math Center to help students, and they do review sessions before tests. So there are a lot of ways that we provide support for students in math, writing, science, and foreign language. And looking at our website is a great way to see a lot of those services as well. Okay, I'll turn it over to Laura now.
Thank you, Karen, and thank you, Liz and Shamika. I'm Laura Chouanière. I'm the Director of Student Accessibility Services, and on behalf of my whole department and staff, I say welcome to students that are listening to us today. As a brief overview, Student Accessibility Services at Roger Williams does work with everybody on campus, students, faculty, to help students become good, strong self-advocates and to work toward learning and living inclusiveness in all aspects of students' experience, which basically means we want our students to have full access to programs and co-curricular activities. And as you've noticed from our presentation this afternoon, that the university is very committed to student academic success by the creation of these three departments that work very closely together. The three of us work in tandem often on individual student cases to help them be successful, and we make referrals back and forth. So again, we work toward equal opportunity for students and help them achieve academic success, and working with them until they complete their degrees. We also want students to think about student accessibility services as another service that they will take advantage of, just like tutoring and advising and peer mentorship, to help them be successful, and to know that they're not alone. This is no longer the resource room that they might have known in high school. Roughly 14% of the entire student population at Roger Williams has disclosed some type of disability to us. And you may remember through the application process, disclosing disability is not a requirement in any way, shape, or form. But if a student does wish to receive accommodations to help them with the academic experience or the residential life experience, they must do so through our office in order for accommodations to take place. Next. We're often asked, what types of disabilities do students disclose to SAS? This list is not extensive because we see new issues arising every day. I don't feel like I need to read it to you, but learning disabilities would include things like dyslexia, language-based learning disabilities that would impact reading and writing, ADHD, attention, mobility issues that might impact a student's ability to get up and down stairs or to walk quickly from one end of campus to the other. We're seeing mental health issues as well, medical conditions, autism spectrum, visual learning, head trauma, even things like Lyme disease and concussion, which would fall under head trauma. As new situations become apparent to us, we learn about new things that students would bring to campus that might be new to us. So we look to see what is the disability and how does it impact a student as an individual. And then based on that impact, what accommodations should be put in place to help the student with equal access. And through equal access, that's when we hope that they would see the success that they've come to hope to have at the university. We're often also asked the common accommodations that we provide. And again, this list is also not extensive because all accommodations are determined on a student by student basis, determined by the documentation of disability that they provide for us. But again, commonly we do give time and a half for extended time for testing. We do have a testing center, which not all universities do, but it's a dedicated space where students can come take their tests in a reduced distraction environment. We provide note-taking assistance, textbooks in alt format. We also provide memberships to Learning Ally. So some students that might have used Learning Ally for audiobooks in the K through 12 environment can continue with that membership through the university by registering with us and again demonstrating the need to continue on with Learning Ally. We do make residential life accommodations as well to help students enjoy residential living to the best extent possible. And then other accommodations are provided based on an individual student's needs. But again, we encourage students to let us know early on what kinds of accommodations they feel they will need to be successful on campus and to have equal access. And to that end, next slide, please. We have just rolled out this spring an exciting new online data management system called Clockwork. And this now will allow students, once they're accepted to Roger Williams and have their RW email and password, to complete an online intake form with SAS. And this is a great way to begin your relationship with student accessibility services because it will identify you to our office and let you know that you wish to be connected to us and to use the services and supports that are available to you. It also will allow a student to directly upload their documentation to SAS so it doesn't have to go through the US mail. And now since walk-ins are very difficult, you can't come to campus right now and bring us your documentation, which some students do in the spring. And then it'll allow you to also tell us a bit about yourself from the student perspective about your intended journey on campus, how you perceive your learning needs to impact you academically. And then this will also, this portal, as we call it, will also be the same place where students go to request their academic accommodations each semester. So next slide. And how do you get there? So this intake form that is so critical, if you were looking at this PowerPoint, you could actually click on that top bullet and that would take you right to the SAS homepage. So if you are online later today and you want to find this, just type in SAS at the university's website. It'll take you to our landing page and then scroll down to the bottom of that landing page and you'll see new SAS students complete the intake process. When you click there, it'll open up an area of information and instructions, and it'll also answer some key questions about what we're looking for in documentation. It's common that folks want to know what type of documentation we require, how old it must be, etc. So most commonly for physical or medical situations, we'll see treating practitioners. And for students with learning disabilities, we'll see psychoeducational and neuropsych evaluations that are generally 4 years old or newer. Once you're ready to fill out the intake form, click on RW SAS portal, and there you'll get right to the form. You'll see it in the top left row. It's got an R around it, and just click on that R. Once you fill that out and you upload your documentation to us, you will get an automated email confirmation that tells you we've received your intake form, your documentation is being reviewed, and then once your documentation is reviewed, we create an electronic file for you that allows you then each semester to go into the Clockwork portal and click off the accommodations you need course by course And that generates your accommodation authorization letters right out to your faculty members. So we're rolling it out. It's brand new to us. We are excited to let you know that you'll be the first entering class to take part in this new electronic system. We're going to go paperless. We're going to save trees. And again, if you have any questions with this process, as you started at home with maybe your folks are helping you, don't hesitate to send us an email if we can help you with that. And I believe that's my last slide. And thank you so much.
All right, so thank you so much. At this point, we are going to take questions from you all who are tuning in with us today. Please do feel free to type your question into the chat and we will take them and answer as best we can. I did go ahead and place the placement testing information into the chat that I believe it was Liz Nehemiah referred to earlier as she went over that information. So that's there for you all to go to the website and see the placement testing information. Let us know, what questions do you have? First question, who needs placement testing?
All right, I guess that question's for me. So it depends on your major. So all students should take the writing placement. It's a self-directed placement survey. You should only take foreign language if you want to do a minor or a major in that area. And then the math is going to be specific to the major. So some particular programs don't require a specific level of math, in which case you would not need to take a math placement. But if you are in a major that does require a specific level of math, for example, engineering, then you would need to take the placement test for math in that case. So if you use that link that Shamika had placed in the chat box, thank you, Shamika, then you can scroll down and find the major that you would need. So for criminal justice, okay, so they recommend statistics for criminal justice. And there is no prerequisite for that particular math class, so you would not need to do a math placement for the criminal justice program.
Would you need a test for biology?
Yeah, so biology does have a math requirement. So yes, you would take math placement for biology.
Would you need a test for communications and media studies?
Yes, so you would do the writing, and then there isn't a specific math requirement for communications and media studies, so you would not have to take it. Just because you're not required to take a specific placement test, it doesn't mean that you can't take it. So if you think that you want, because of interest, if you want to take an advanced level math, then you would need to take the math placement.
If you have low grades for a class, will you have to take some sort of tutoring?
So tutoring is never forced upon a student, but an instructor could highly recommend that a student come in for tutoring. And sometimes they'll even make the referral to one of the coordinators of the tutoring centers. So sometimes an instructor will say, you know, I think you're really struggling, let's say in biology. Why don't you go and see Tracy Weiser, who is the science center coordinator, and she can maybe set you up with a tutor who can help you with this particular area that you're struggling in. So lots of times instructors will really encourage students to come in for tutoring, but they don't force someone to go in for tutoring.
And then we had another question about a placement test for education. Does education require any placement tests?
So education, yes, they do. So for education majors, there is a basic level of proficiency in reading, writing, and math. So that can be handled in different ways. I think if we are a test optional school, but you could, if you wanted to, use the SATs to have that demonstrated level of proficiency for the education program. You would do, I'm going to look it up right now because off the top of my head, I can't remember if education requires the math, but I will look for you right now. So elementary education, the math placement test is not required. And then we also have another education program in secondary education, if I can find it. So the math placement for secondary majors is contingent on your other primary major. So all secondary education students have to double major, one in secondary education, and then the other major would be in the content area in which you want to teach. So if you wanted to teach in math or any of the sciences, then yes, you would do math placement. If you wanted to teach in history, then no, you would not need to do math placement. Oh, you're muted.
Thank you. I realized it was like, you are muted, stop talking. So here's the next question. If the student doesn't do well on the placement test, will there be a prep class? And does that price add on to the tuition?
We don't have a prep class unless something new is happening that I don't know about. But it's not a matter of doing poorly on a placement test. It's not measuring, you know, whether you did well or not. It's just measuring where you are in that moment. And so for math, for example, are you going to go straight into calculus, or do you need to take pre-calc first, right? So we have all of those classes. We have college algebra, which leads to pre-calc, which leads to calc. And they're all college level classes. So it's not that you are, that you didn't do well in it. It's just, you know, where are you at this particular moment that would be the best place for you to start. The writing survey, we call it, you know, it's writing placement, but it's not really a placement, it's self-directed placement. And so in the writing survey, they're going to ask you some questions about your level of comfort in academic writing. And they're going to give you some examples on what you can expect from writing 100, which is Introduction to Academic Writing, or writing 102, which is Karen, correct me if it's expository writing, or did they change the name recently?
They changed it, How Writing Works.
Okay, thank you. And so they're going to ask you, what's your level of comfort? You know, what kind of experience have you had in academic writing? And then you decide where you will be placed in writing, whether it's going to be in the 100 or the 102. And then there's a second actually part to that question, and does that price add on to the tuition? And so like I said, there isn't a prep class, so you know that's not something I'll obviously talk about because we don't have that. But if you take the math placement, for example, and you don't like your score and you want to try again, you say, hey, I've taken calculus and AP calculus in high school, like I can't believe I tested into college algebra. You have the opportunity to retake, and that's totally fine. There is no extra charge to retake a placement exam if that's what you want to do.
And so our next question is, does Roger Williams accept IB credits as college credits? And I know that answer is yes, so I will allow Liz or anybody to speak on that who wants to, but I'm also going to put the website here where students can access the online course catalog and see what courses are required in order to get credit. So if anybody wants to add on, please go ahead.
So I'll answer the next one. I don't have any, unless somebody has anything to say about IB credit. Do you have to take a foreign language? So no, none of our, we do have certain academic programs that require a foreign language proficiency, but there is no foreign language requirement. So unless you're selecting a program that does require it, so for example, international business, then you would not need to do a foreign language.
And then our next question here is, someone is taking college English 101 and 102 in high school, but that person is from New York. Does that still count?
So that may count. Yeah. So what your daughter or your daughter will want to do at the end of the semester is have the university send the official transcripts to us. That way they can be reviewed. And if they're eligible for transfer, then yes, she will get the college credit for that. Just as a side note, in order for a class to be eligible to transfer, the student must earn a C or higher. So just, in the back of your head, think about that as you're progressing through the class. But yes, potentially, I can't say for certain since, I don't know the name of the school and all of those types of things. But yes, there's a high likelihood that those two classes would come in for credit.
And I'll throw a question out there that I received, we received during another session that I haven't seen come up. How does the AP and IB credits, how does that work after students have taken the placement test? So are students able to place out of a class that they test into after they've taken the placement test because they bring in credits from AP or IB or college courses?
Sure, that's a great question, and one that we get every year. We should put that in an FAQ somewhere. So if you take a placement exam and then you have a certain score and then you bring in the AP credit, then whatever is higher is where you will be. So if you test into Math 117, which is college algebra, but then you brought in AP credit for pre-calculus, and got the college credit for that, then you're going to go to calculus. Unless you don't want to, then that's your decision. But whatever is higher is where you will land.
Okay. I don't see any other questions that have come in, but are there other things from either of you folks or from any of the other two panelists that we have with us, things that you frequently get asked by students that you haven't been asked yet today, or suggestions that you have for students as they prepare?
I'll just add, if there are any questions out there from or towards student accessibility services that you aren't comfortable asking even in a group chat anonymously, please do feel free to contact me anytime. My email address is on the university website under SAS, and I'd be happy to schedule a time to have a conversation if you wanted to talk more intimately about your son or daughter, your own SAS needs at Roger Williams.
And
Awesome,
I would
thank
just
you.
add, at Roger Williams, coming in for tutoring has really become a kind of part of the culture of how students succeed in their courses. And so students should always feel really smart and really comfortable accessing tutoring because, again, it is something that students just do as part of their daily activities. They come in and they get tutoring. And so we want students to feel really smart and really comfortable coming in for tutoring.
Okay. What are the tutoring hours? It's another question that just came in.
Okay, so our tutoring hours are Monday through Thursday from 9 a.m. to 8 p.m., Fridays from 9 to 3, and Sundays from 2 to 8. So we're open 56 hours a week.
And how, can you talk a little bit about how the virtual learning has adjusted those hours or
So the hours are still pretty much in that range. So tutors, for example, math and science tutors are working with students live, okay? So students go into what we call a meeting and they meet with their tutors, and they have a whiteboard that they can work with. They can see each other. They can talk to each other. So it's very much kind of a one-on-one, or a couple of students might be in the tutoring room, which is like what we're doing here to a certain extent. And then for writing, we're having students use an email system whereby they attach their paper to an email, and they tell us, here's what the assignment's about, here's the documentation system I'm using, and they send that to us, and then the tutor makes comments. So the tutor doesn't edit the paper or go into the paper and make any changes, but the tutor uses comments in the margin to kind of provide feedback for the students, and then they send it back. So it's kind of within the same time frame. We have them working the same hours, so to speak. And just math and science, it's kind of a live situation like this, and for writing, it's email. But we've gotten a lot of business. Students are really using it.
Awesome. Any other questions from anybody in the meeting with us? Are there other things that any of you all can think of that we haven't talked about?
I'll just say something, I mean, that we haven't really talked about, but something that I feel is important for students and their parents to know. We are a very high touch university. We have small class sizes, and we have lots and lots and lots of resources available for students that want to engage in them. So academic support is there. The student just has to reach out and grab it. And so if a student really is interested in receiving that kind of support while they're here, there are lots of people that want to see our students do well. And like I said, we're a high touch university. I get phone calls and emails from faculty all the time that are, concerned about a student for whatever reason. And then, we try to engage with that student, and so that, we want everyone to do well during their time with us.
Awesome. Okay. Any other questions about Roger Williams, our wonderful support services?
Another question came in, Shamika.
As a student, where can I get access to financial aid help?
So I'll actually start to, I'll start to answer that, because I'm actually the financial aid liaison for the academic division. And so I work with financial aid often. So it depends on what you mean by help. So do you need help with your FAFSA, or do you need help understanding satisfactory academic progress and rate of progress and your requirements for your scholarship? So a good place to start, if you are a student at Roger Williams on campus right now, a good place to start would be my office. And then I would figure out the best direction for you to go in, whether it's connecting you with one of the financial aid counselors, or whether it's something that should be facilitated through me in my office. As a brand new student though, before, or an entering student before starting with us, then Shamika, I guess it would be the financial aid office, right?
Yes, it would be. So we have a number of financial aid counselors, and they have assigned caseloads, and it's all based on your last name. So if you actually go onto our website, that listing will be there. But you can also just reach out in general to the financial aid office. If you're a student who's applied for financial aid, on your financial aid letter will actually be the name and contact information for the financial aid office. So the name of your counselor and the contact information for the financial aid office. So that information will be there for you. If it's a situation where you want us to reach out to you to schedule a conversation or walk through documentation or whatever it is, we are open to doing that. We are meeting with folks in Zoom so that we can see folks virtually. We are talking to folks on the phone, or I should say they're talking to folks on the phone. So we've adjusted everything and are here to help. So I will take note of this particular question and follow up with this student directly who had this question here. Anything else that we can help with? Next question. If someone is on a wait list for an RWU scholarship, when will they find out if they moved forward to the accepted status? So I can take that one as well. So some of our scholarships have different notification deadlines for those waitlist statuses. So it would be ideal for you to, follow up with our office directly if you maybe you're unclear or unsure about what the letter says. But for many of those scholarships, we tell students that we will get in touch with them by sometime in July. Because we did extend our deposit deadline or enrollment reservation deadline to June 1, we did let folks know that we'd get back to them by July 1 or July 15th. And that's really because we have to give students who've been selected time to make their decision. So the sooner we have information, the sooner you'll hear from us. But those official, I think, timelines or deadlines or dates are sometime in July. So clarification here, I wasn't sure if that date changed due to the pandemic. So at this point, we're still going with those July dates. If we need to go out, a little bit farther because of the pandemic, we will be in communication with you and let you know. But as I said, it really is our goal to communicate with students much sooner. So we're hoping to continue to be in touch with you and let you know, how things are going and if there are changes. But as things go on, if you have questions, just feel free to reach out to us and we'll do our best to answer. All right, so we have another question here about, financial aid. I won't go specifically into the question because this one is more one to be taken offline, but in general, there is a financial aid portal where financial aid awards are available for students. They're posted there, and students do need to go to should use those portals to accept their financial aid after they've chosen to enroll at Roger Williams as well. So I will connect with you offline just to get you connected to the portal, but that information should have been emailed directly to your email address. So whatever email address it is that you've been using and where you've been getting any kind of Roger Williams email from us is where that email should have gone with the financial aid information. Any other questions? Okay, well, I will make some final remarks. More ways for you all to get connected to us and stay connected to us. But before I do, I wonder if Laura or Karen or Liz want to share any final words.
I just would like to say thank you for those who have joined us this afternoon.
Yes, yeah.
Yep, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you for your good questions.
Yes.
All right, so thanks so much for joining us, everyone. Please continue to keep in touch with us. Your admissions counselor is your best RWU friend for the time being, in addition to Karen and Liz and Laura. They're really your lifeline to RWU, and if they can't answer your question, we'll do their best to connect to you with somebody on campus who can. Yes. So please do keep in touch with your admissions counselor. And also just keep an eye out for, you know, things that we're continuing to roll out. We understand that this is an unprecedented time and are just doing our best to meet your needs virtually as best we can. So one of the things that we'll be doing is we'll be rolling out some virtual communities for you all to be a part of. So there'll be communities based on your school. So if your major is, let's say, biology, there'll be a school for social and natural sciences that you'll be a part of. There'll be different communities based on your extracurricular activities. And you won't be the only person, the only one in these communities, right? So we will have other accepted students, current students, faculty, staff, admissions folks. So folks who can really help you to be connected to Roger and can answer any questions that you have. And then of course, keep on checking the list of sessions that we have up on the website. We're continuing to add more. So over the next week or so, continue to check the website or you can go back and rewatch some of the ones that you attended in case you forget something or just want to see something again. So thanks so much. Keep in touch with us. We will keep in touch with you and enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.